Greetings, friends. Welcome to a brand new episode of Random Encounters, a show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, together with input from anyone who happens to be in the live chat while I'm doing this, and of course, whatever is popping out of my crazy old brain at the time. We use the encounter tables. One is an encounter table full of who, mostly D&D monsters, D&D creatures, characters like that. And what is a situation or an activity or a place or something that's going on. And we take the who and we take the what, smash them together, and that is our drawing prompt for the evening. Well, we have to do 3 in an evening. Say just for the evening. That's our drawing prompt, and then I take that and I draw it while you're watching here in front of you. With your input, we try and come up with a gag or a joke or a funny take on it if we can, or maybe we just draw it. This is all about having fun. The fun of drawing. I love drawing. I love drawing, and I'm trying to encourage more people to kind of let that back in their lives. You know, when we're kids, we all love drawing, or we all draw in any case. We don't worry about it. It's only about the time we get to 7 or 8 where suddenly we realize we may not be as good as we want to be, or there's someone better, or it's just not our best thing, and suddenly we decide, I can't draw. And then we make it so over the rest of our lives. We just take that and that self-fulfilling prophecy and make it true. But I'm here to tell you, you can draw, and you can draw just for the fun of it. Now, sure, you're not going to draw exactly what you have in your head. I'll tell you, I rarely draw exactly what I have in my head. You won't draw great to start with. In fact, I'll tell you, when you first start, you're going to draw pretty crappy. We all do. But you got to remember, this is something, those of us who are good at it, it's because we didn't stop drawing, and we kept building on what we had, and everyone starts crappy. And then you build a little, and you get a little better. You build a little, you get a little better. And, you know, there is a cap to how good you can be, whether or not you have it in you to be a professional artist. I'm not going to tell you that. But I'll tell you, you can get good enough to draw something that's fun, that you can get back to the point where you just pick up your pen and draw something because it's fun to entertain yourself or entertain your friends. That's what I'm about. That's what we're trying to get back to here. And, well, I mean, I'm going to draw stuff that maybe I can use later on. I have some of the drawings we do here, I wind up using for, I make stickers out of them, or I use them for other things. But mostly it's kind of doodle it out, have some fun, move on to the next thing. We all clear? Everyone clear on that? Great, me too. All right. Gonna grab my iPad Pro. That's what I do my drawing on here. I do it on an iPad Pro with the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. These are the tools I use because it makes it easy to do this show. Also because that's what I use for my my professional and my fun drawing these days a lot of times. Although I'll tell you what, it's not the only thing I draw. And I also grab a ballpoint pen and a regular lined notebook and I go and draw in that. Or a sketch pad, fancy sketch pad, and an expensive pencil, such an art pencil or a marker. I draw with a lot of different things. But for tonight, this is what we're using. And let's see, I'm going to hit the button so that you can see what's going on my screen. Oh, there we go. These are the encounter tables we are using this evening. Look interesting to you? I hope so. All right, so let's come over here. I will grab the iPad, and then we're going to go over to the dice. And we're going to roll and see what we get for our first prompt. So let's roll the dice and roll them, and stop. We get a 9 and a 10. 9 and a 10. So on the who, the white die is the who. 9 is an elf, and 10 is a pogo stick. So we got an elf on a pogo stick. That's our first drawing for the evening. Turn that off, come over here, and it's time to do some sketching. I like to do my sketching in blue. This is a throwback to my early days when I was still working in physical media for print, and you did your sketching in blue because it was easier to knock it out when it was time for the reproduction, the photo reproduction. All right, so we want an elf on a pogo stick. I'm going to give the elf kind of an elongated head. And let's see, I was talking about working with basic shapes and giving your character an interesting pose. So I'm going to have the character here. I want his feet to be close together and his knees to be, I don't know why I said he, it's not necessarily a he, but I went there. Alright, already I'm going to see that I want to move them back because we need the pogo stick to be over here. Alright, there's our most rough kind of layout. We want the body to be there, coming up, knees out like this. Got a pogo stick. Not sure about the angle I want the head to be at. And I'm not sure about the shoulders either. That's what I'm working out here. Is what do your arms do when you're pogo stick? When you're doing the pogo stick, what's the natural pose? There we go. Feet there. I'm here. Like that. Big ears. I think we're going to have a big smile on his face. I'm going to take the whole thing and move it over here a little. Turn it. Because I want him to be, I'm going to go to the pogo stick like that. Thinking about this. I'm thinking about our pogo sticking elf. Now, it could be pogoing off something. Like an owlbear. That's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. Right, I think so. I had him bouncing off the owlbear's head, which could be funny, but I think it's better to have him coming off the owlbear's back. All right. So I need to shift things around again. I'm going to shrink this a bit. And I'm going to grab the elf from a little further away. So it's going to come off the owlbear's back. Grab him and move him a little more. Trying to get the layout for this. No, I want to get the layout for this set before I start going in and putting in. There we go. Okay. There we go. Hello, Penny. Hello, Michael. Thank you guys for showing up. You missed the prompt. Pogo Stick and a Mephit? No, that's an elf. I can see where you might think Mephit, but I'm going for an elf on a Pogo Stick. Had a little trouble figuring out exactly how I wanted him to go, but there we go. There we go. Let's go to the Lion's Lair. I understand what I'm doing. A beholder is one of those ergonomic bouncy ball. That's a completely different thing. It does sound funny though. All right, here we go. That's too big a nose for an elf, and the elf has a dainty nose. But we've got our elf here having a good time. Doing a little pogo sticking. I wanted to look like his feet are together and his knees are apart as he's riding the pogo stick. There we go. I don't know why I gave the elf a cut-off shirt with a bare midriff. Just feels very elfy. All right, but then over here, we've got our woo. Our owlbear, our very surprised owlbear. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background here, as I've uh, pointed out in years past, across the street from me is, or just outside the window that I sit in front of, is a dog park. And once the weather starts to get good, and the weather was very nice today here in the greater Seattle area, once the weather starts to get good, the park gets busy in the evening time. And it's dogs and little kids running around, making lots of noise. I'm not sure about this expression on the, particularly the mouth. The, the, the beak's not coming out right. That's better. No. Once I add that in, I'm trying to get something to give it that feeling, like a little more three-dimensionality, but every time I put it in, it stops looking right. So I'm going to stop trying to do that. There we go. Yeah. Oh boy. You know what? I'm pretty sure you can't hear this one. Sometimes the dogs are very easy to hear. Sometimes not. In that last case, there was kind of a louder noise. Now there's a yappy little dog in the distance. No. Let's draw the whole thing and then add in. I was getting ahead of myself and adding in the pogo stick before I finished drawing the owl bear. It's always a good idea to finish your drawing, what you're drawing, one bit of what you're drawing before you add in the other bit. Particularly if you're drawing quickly like this. Alright, now I can say that I'm going to want to have the pogo stick come up like this. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I just looked up, all I saw was Michael having typed in quotations, poopy park. Yeah, it is. It's a poopy park over there. Alright, let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we got here. It's looking okay. I definitely need to add some more in there. Just a little bit of extra lines to help define what's there. The colors are going to do a lot of the work, but always worth throwing a little extra definition so that it's easy for the viewer to tell what they're looking at. And the elf is just sloppy. I was drawing that quickly. Okay, that's looking all right. And what else do I want to do? I want to put a little bit of speed lines on here so we know that our elf is moving. He likes to move it. Or so I hear. No, come on. A little bit of speed line. How do you get that concave line on his butt? There we go. Look on the owlbear's face is cracking me up. Let's see, Michael's given a elf on the shelf. What can we rhyme to get Pogo? A logo on a Pogo? Logos. That's just a branded branded Pogo. All right, we're gonna pop over to coloring. I'm gonna grab the gloaming brush. Which is what I like to use here. It gives me a markery / crayony feeling, so I can do very quick coloring. I encourage you to do this too when you're just kind of coloring for fun. Don't worry about filling in all the space. Don't worry about going over the lines. Kind of get the feeling, get the shape and the motion into the color. All right. Oh, I forgot it's got a bare midriff, so gotta get in there. And then give him a green top. That seems appropriately elfy. Maybe just a dark green bottom. And then some soft leather boots. Make the pogo stick red. I don't know why. Seems like a good color for a pogo stick. And blonde hair for our elf. He's kind of cute. And then we're going to come over to our owlbear, and we're going to give him kind of the usual brown bear fur. Generic brown fur, number 3. And of course I say, generally use an orange to show a beak. I don't know why that is. Beaks aren't actually orange, but you think about cartoons, you think about any of the cartoon parrots, it's usually an orange that's picked for showing the beak. There we go. Let's see. I think I want to grab that green that I used. Ooh, I've already used so many colors, I lost the green. So I'm going to pick it up here. I'm going to use the green from his shirt to show the track of the pogo. We're going to come in here with a little bit of light blue to emphasize the roundness of the eyes, which helps it look more like he's going boing. And you think about the cartoons, the Auga, the Tex Avery Auga wolf, or someone whose eyes pop out there. You get that real sense that they are round and bulging. This is just a single flat line drawing, so in order to get that, I'm putting this shadow, which hints at the idea that these are round and bulging out of the head. There we go. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Let's, you can already see I'm going to want to drop the intensity on this color. I think that I've gone a little dark on the elf. But, let's come back and do a little bit of extra shading to help our owlbear look a little more three-dimensional. Like so. And since we're going to want to do a little bit on the beak. Because once you add a little shading, you need to bear in mind that you then have to play it out. Because if one thing gets shading and another doesn't, it just seems strange. Like I often will say that one of the things you want in drawing, you don't have to get it right, but you can't get it wrong in a way that draws attention to itself. You can't make the reader, the viewer, look at it and say, "Why? I don't know. What is that? Why is that happening? Shouldn't it look like X, Y, or Z? Shouldn't it be this other way?" Whereas, as long as you get the feeling of being right, no one's going to be looking for, well, I won't say no one, because there are people out there that do look for absolute realism and did you get the details right. But most people aren't. They just want to understand what your drawing is and enjoy it. And for those people, you just have to get it right enough that they understand what it is that you're putting on the page. And then they'll go there with you because they just want to have fun. There we go. And what do I want to do? I think I want to come over here and add kind of a shadow for the owlbear so we get more of a feeling of it being grounded. And add a few little extra bits on the ground just for texture's sake. And the other thing we really want to do is give his surprise. There's a made-up technical term for that kind of surprise bullets shooting off your head. I don't remember what it is. Alright, having done that, I'm now going to grab this and I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit to lighten the colors. See, as I go down in opacity, the colors get lighter, really what's happening is I'm making you able to see through them to the white underneath. There we go. And then we'll come back to our lines layer, grab the inking brush, and we will put a little stand. Trying to decide whether it should go on the left side or the right side. I think on the left side. There we go, and we have an elf on a pogo stick, and that is our first drawing of the evening. Michael's. I'm just now seeing you reacting to my concave butt. Yeah, concave butts. It's really hard to shop for pants when you got a concave butt. Who needs boots of springing and striding? Yeah, right. This this is the manual version of a magic item. All right, rubbing my hands together. I have another sip of my soda. And let's dive into a second drawing. What do you say? I'll come back here and close out group 1, turn on group 2, and turn back on the encounter tables. One more sip, just because I like it. How sweet it is. In fact, it's not that sweet. All right. Am I ready? Have I got it? I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Yeah? Okay. We started off with an elf on a pogo stick. Let's go back to our magic die roller and see what we get next. So we're going to roll and roll and stop. And we get a 6 and a 6. Double sixes. Come on, here we go. Double sixes. That's a gelatinous cube. A gelatinous cube tap dancing. Wow. Talk about. Sometimes you get things that are. You just. Who would ever try and think of a gelatinous cube tap dancing? But that's our task now. Try to figure out how a gelatinous cube now could, because they leave it open. The prompt is gelatinous cube and tap dancing. So it doesn't have to be the gelatinous cube tap dancing. But that's really funny if I can figure out how to do it. It could just be a gelatinous cube with a tap dancer inside. Oh my. So here's what I'm thinking. So gelatinous cube, of course, is let's see what we got here. Lines, sketch on. This should be working. Is this on? Is this mic on? Okay, no. Why is it not showing? Try that again. Sometimes you just need to. No. Alright, I give up. Why is this not working? With an inking brush. We've got the right opacity. For some reason, my pencil is not working. That's bad. What if I switch brushes and switch colors? No. Alright, you know what? I'm going to come back on screen, just me, for a second, Technical difficulties. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to reboot the program and see if that does it. Come back here. It's on the right level. Yes. All right. Problem solved. Let's call it solved. Don't know why it was happening. And here's a good just life tip, not even art tip. Sometimes things get out of control, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Turning it off and starting over again often will do the trick. And don't panic. Things go wrong. Do what you can do. All right, so now I'm trying to get the cube in motion. Like that. And we're going to give him a little straw hat. And we're going to give him a cane, but the cane is going to be going through the gelatinous cube. And somehow I'm going to need to show these little tap. And I think we're just going to have tap, tap, tappity tap. And what else could be inside the cube? We could have the guy that was supposed to be tap dancing. It could be his tap dancing partner. And what else? What else might we put inside the gelatinous cube? I've made this very small on the page, so let's immediately just blow it up so that we get a... I'm looking at what Michael said. One cube talking to another. It's so cool when I jiggle, I can tap dance. Yes, yes. Um, I'm just trying to think of an extra gag to go on top of this, but I may be trying to do a hat on a hat, as they say. You ever heard that term, a hat on a hat? Cartoonists, creative folks, and particularly cartoonists, use that for a situation where you're just adding too much, right? You should just let it be simple and work, and you just got to add one more thing. Hello, Matthew Snow. Tap dancing gelatinous cube is in fact what we got. All right, I'm gonna redo the lettering here because I guess it's not really because, but I want it to be laid out a little better. And then I will do those letters a little better when I'm inking them. All right, particularly grab the cube, move it again a little further up on the page, maybe a little bigger. There we go. And so now I'm thinking about. I don't know if you remember the last time I did a gelatinous cube, but getting the effect of something inside the cube it's not difficult, but there are a couple of different ways to do it, and particularly here working digitally, it often depends on what you put on using different layers to get that effect. Um, but I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to try and do it without doing layer tricks. All right, so I am going to do some line coloring tricks, though, when all is said and done. I'm going to start by drawing it all in, well, in black here, but in the color, like if you, what I'd have to do if I was drawing, um, if I was drawing uh, non-digitally. Why is suddenly my brain not wanting to give me that word? If I'm doing analog drawing, maybe that's not what I want to say. Anyway, traditional media. There we go. And we've got our cane. It's going to be going through the cube. Now what I am going to do is draw anything that's inside. I'm going to draw with a much lighter line. See how thick the lines are for what I'm drawing there, but I'm going to go with a lighter line for our character that's in the cube. Now, in this case, I could and maybe should be doing this by changing the size of the brush. You'll often see me changing the size of the brush. Here I'm just doing it by touch, and for one reason, because that's what you can do whether you're drawing with a pencil or whatever at home. By pressing harder or pressing lighter, you can affect the thickness of the line you're creating. I mean, this is something everyone knows, right? You know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but you do it to specific effect. I want this And I'm also going to play around with this with line color, which you'll see later on. Alright, there we go. Now I'll come back to finishing this line drawing here. And we're going to give them at a jaunty angle. A hat. Put these little asterisks looking things to represent where he's tapping. I'm not gonna draw a couple of these like the little. I've put these things on to make it look glossy and slick. Our gelatinous cube. But I'm not going to put them on yet. And here I'm now going to come back and do the lettering. You see I'm doing the lettering at unusual or uneven angles, and that's to help play up the feeling of the tap dancer moving around. Alright, so having gotten this far, I just saw the singing in the acid rain comment from Matt. Funny, funny, funny. Okay, so how am I going to create this illusion that this guy is inside the gelatinous cube? Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the color layer. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And get rid of our sketches. I don't. I think we're okay. Maybe I do want to add a couple of extra little lines on here. Because, as I said before, I'm going to come back and add those slick, slimy lines and some other stuff later on too. But there we go. That's good. So on the color layer, I'm going to switch over to our gloaming brush, and I'm going to pick what do you think? A yellowish. You think yellowish green or bluish green? You guys in the chat, Matt and Michael, and anyone else who's there so far, there or Penny. What do you think? Go with a yellowish green or a bluish green? I'm feeling kind of yellowish green. I don't know. Nope, I'm feeling bluish green. All right, that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to take this, and we are going to yellow. All right, Matt jumped in with yellow. Yellow it will be. I'm going to start with our main color here. You know what? I'm not going to use the gloaming brush. I'm going to use a regular inking brush because I want this to be a solid color. So I'm going to just fill in this whole face of the cube. The face is facing the audience right now. I fill it in. Whoop, you know, it'll only work if I create a square with no holes in it. Oh, clearly I'm missing something. There we go. And then we're going to do a slightly darker version than that. On this other side. I'm going to fill that in. Then we're going to go an even darker version than that. And put that on the underside. Oh, that's not the right color. That's still not the right color. I can feel it. I can feel the right color. That's the right color. For the underside of the cube. And, alright, so now I've just got a big cube color, but it's not making any real sense. I'm going to now, I guess we're going to do this whole thing with solid colors rather than gloaming colors. So I'm going to grab here. Want to do the cane, the part of the cane that's not in the cube. We're going to do with that color, and of course that little rubberized tip at the end is not in the cube too. And then of course we need to color the straw hat. Oh, I want to come back these little bits here. Little bits of gelatinous material that fell off. Okay. So how am I going to create the illusion? So already the change in the line weight gives us a beginning of a look that they are that character is inside. I also am going to want to put some color on them. So the idea, looking through the gelatinous cube, everything's going to be very green tinted, but I do want some, maybe here is where I'm going to come in with some of the gloaming brush. So we're going to come onto his face, we're going to put just a little hint there, a little white for the eyes. Just a little bit of the color that we would normally use to color the whole thing. Give him orangish hair. Just a little. I'm going to also do a white shirt. We're going to do red vest. And our faux black, we're going to have black pants. So we can get the idea that some of the color is seen through, but most of it is being overrun by the green that we're seeing above it. The cane, the hat. There we go. All right, good start. And it's beginning to look a little too up front still. So here's where I'm going to do the fun bit. I'm going to alpha lock this, which means I can only draw on where I've already drawn. And I'm going to come back to that green color I used. And I go for a dark version of it. And I'm going to color the outside lines of our gelatinous cube that color. This begins to make it look a little less solid, a little more gelatinous. Go, open that up a little more. And we've got our gelatinous cube looking a little more specifically gelatinous. But now he's standing out even more. But so what I want to do is actually take a lighter version of that dark green and do his lines. So because the color's not the same as the color that we did the outside with, he looks... It helps to sell the idea that he is inside the... Here we go. You see that green, they're two different colored greens. Darker one and the lighter one. And that is what helps to create this illusion that he is inside. I'm not liking... You know what I'm not liking? Of all the colors there, the dark ones that I gave him are not working out for me. They're too dark. So, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this? I'm going to come back to the color layer. I'm going to go back to the gloaming brush. No, I'm going to go back to the regular brush and reestablish just the base color. And, oh, yeah, not done with that yet. Also up there. So now, I think the problem with that is that by making the color actually dark, it loses the feeling that you're looking at it through the green. So instead of using that blue-based faux black, I'm now using a green-based faux black. And that helps to look like you're seeing it through the green of the gelatinous cube. Need to do the same thing here. There we go. And that's how we create this illusion. Now, we're also going to come on top, and we are going to go back to the inking brush. I'm going to take a white and draw suddenly doing that again. Why? If this problem is going to persist, this is actually going to be a problem in my real life. He said. This is problematic. Oh, maybe that's the problem. There we go. I may have caused my own problem. I will not explain what just happened because it's very embarrassing for me. Alright, we're going to use the white to draw on some slime lines. Like that. We are going to come back, we're still on the coloring layer, so we're going to add a little bit of shadow just for the things that are not inside the cube. Again, to help them feel like they've got a little extra depth and three-dimensionality. Just a little bit. Helps a lot. All right, and then the other thing I wanted to add in here is that shadow that I put underneath. So it feels like it's in some space. And then I think we're going to use again, we're going to go to a pink or a fuchsia to mark all the tap spots. Tappity tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. And then use a lighter fuchsia to color it. And the color connection will make it clear that this sound is associated with those little marks on the floor. I kind of really want to draw a setting for this, but I'm not. There we go. This is, I'm going to come in, I'm going to come back to my inking layer, and I'm going to put a little stand in the corner because we have ourselves a gelatinous cube tap dancing. Is it plugged in? No, I'll tell you what I did. I forgot that I was on the line drawing layer, and I forgot that I had made that alpha locked, which meant I could only draw where I'd already drawn. And I was trying to put something new on a layer that was alpha locked. That's what I did wrong. Live by technology, die by technology. Anyway, there we go. That's our uh, our tap dancing. You know what? I tell you, the one thing I'm thinking right now is this funny enough to make into a sticker? Would anyone want a sticker of a tap dancing gelatinous cube? Because this is cracking me up. But I don't think there's a market for it. It's only going to cost me about 25, $30. I may do it anyway. Watch it wiggle, see it jiggle. Cha cha cha. And I'm going back to what Matthew said earlier. I like this. I'm singing in the acid rain, just singing in the acid rain. If I make it a skeleton, you know what? You're right. That might be a way to do that. Is to go back and make that a, make it a skeleton. This is usually what you put inside a tap dancing, inside a gelatinous cube, whether it's tap dancing or not. All right, let's clear it out and do one more drawing and wrap it up for the week. So we're going to close out group 2, turn on group 3, in the sketch layer, inking blue, turn on the encounter tables, have a sip of the soda. Tap dancing gelatinous cube, believe it or not, was our second drawing. Our first one was an elf pogo stick, or elf on a pogo stick. Let's go to the dice one more time and see what we get for our third and final drawing for the evening. So roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, roll them, and stop. We get a 7 and a 3, 7 and a 3, and that gives us a bugbear with a Doctor Who scarf. Has been sitting on the list for a while. I was just thinking as I made up this week's show, maybe it's time to take the Doctor Who scarf off. But no, we got a bugbear with a Doctor Who scarf. All right. So, come back here, and we're going to do some sketching and draw ourselves a bugbear. Now, I often talk about this. A lot of the monstrous races, have very different looks depending on what edition of D&D or what other game you might be looking at. I have the version of bugbears I like is very much based on the what they look like in third edition. Todd Lockwood and Sam Wood's version of them. Going to have him holding his scarf out like this. Maybe we'll give him a sonic screwdriver too. Bugbears have very long arms. Do they? Are you having fun at my expense? Basically, this is a Bugbear Fourth Doctor. It's what this turn. Say Doctor Who stars, but basically, I'm drawing him as the Fourth Doctor. Now, if I move him over a little, maybe we can put a TARDIS in the background. Oh, this. Never mind. Never mind. We'll just keep him in the middle. Now the question I have is this enough, or does it need a gag on top of it? Does it have him saying something, or there we go. I like that. All right. So I'm gonna start here. Oh, so what am I already doing? You can see by that mistake. I'm drawing on the sketch layer. No, you go to the lines layer to draw. Hmm. Yeah, so my Bugbear is definitely third edition style with a BBC style. Okay, now we'll get to the scarf. This was my doctor. When I started watching Doctor Who, it was during the Tom Baker years. I've enjoyed Doctor Who in a lot of different iterations, and there are a bunch of the different doctors that I like. But For me, if you just say Doctor Who, the first thing that pops into my head is Tom Baker, Doctor Who. So if all I'd had was a prompt of Bugbear Doctor Who, I probably would have drawn exactly this. Alright, and then we're going to have the other hand here. I think I figured out what I want my Bugbear to be saying. I'm not sure, but I think so. What about you guys? When you if you if someone says Doctor Who, what's the first Doctor that comes to your head, or which is the Doctor that you most closely associate as being your Doctor? Um, okay, so go to the colors layer. Oh, turn off the sketch layer first. See what we got. Need a few extra bits and bobs here and there. Mostly that looks right. Okay, yes. Alright, so now we're going to go to the colors layer. We're going to switch to our gloaming brush. The um, bugbears of this era tend to have a tawny tawny fur. And rich brown hair. Like that. I would like to give him a pinkish nose. Now, thing about the Doctor though is that he also in this iteration is brown is the predominant color. So it's not going to be the most vibrant drawings we've ever done here on the show, but it'll carry the story, and that's the main thing. All right. So now the scarf is also kind of a base brownish color. Let's do this a little bigger so I can get a. But then there's lots of colors in it. We'll start adding little bits here. There's definitely greens. There's definitely reds. And there's definitely a blue or two in there. I'm going to add a stronger orange. A different blue. That's, and really you kind of get the idea. At that stage, you kind of get the idea. But I think I'm going to come back and give just a stroke of shadow in the original color. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do the screwdriver. Sonic screwdriver. I think our we need to add a little bit of shading here. Looking too pale. All those other colors have suddenly made him look very pale. But having done that, we're also going to have to add something on the jacket too. Again, as I say, once you add a little, you got to add enough so that it looks like it applies everywhere, so that the viewer will not say, hey, well, if you got a shadow on the skin, why isn't there a shadow on the jacket? What's up with that? There we go. I think we're nearly there. Very nearly there. Yeah, once you start adding, the main thing is once you start adding a little bit of shading, then anything that's just a big flat color just looks a little weird because it doesn't have any subtlety to it. Once you've established that you want to have that kind of subtlety, you're going to make sure that it doesn't look like it's missing from any part of your drawing. All right, there we go. We have ourselves a. Well, let's just tone it down a little bit, just a smidge, not that much, not that much. So I think we got our. So yeah, what I wanted to have him saying. He's saying, mm, because back in the day, when we couldn't get Doctor Who stuff, but you could get your mother or your sister or your grandmother to knit a long scarf for you, and suddenly you had a Doctor Who scarf. I'm going to add that same shadow I've been adding all night. Me ma knit it for me. And then we come down in the corner, we put a stand. Alright, I'm looking at this and I want to come back and just move that. Put it down there, make it a little bigger. There we go. Me ma knitted for me. A bugbear with a Doctor Who scarf. Boo-doo-boo-doo-doo. And there we have it, my friends. There is another evening of improv cartooning. I had a good time. All right, let's straighten this up. Get myself ready, and we'll do an outro, and then head out into the weekend. Got a bugbear with a Doctor Who scarf. Who could ask for anything more? That was our third drawing this week. We started, or before that, we did a tap dancing gelatinous cube, and before that, we started with an elf on a pogo stick. Those were our 3 randomly generated drawing prompts and our 3 improv cartoons. That's how I spent a Thursday evening. And that's how fine folks like Matthew Snow and Chris Arno, Chris Andro, and Michael in chat all have joined me. Penny was here for a while. We had a good time. I had a good time. You guys have a good time? Let's look in chat. I think they did. I look forward to Thursday evenings very much. So, thank you all for joining me. I had a good time. Please, please, please do me a solid and give this video a like or a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps me in so many little ways, and I don't send you stuff. I only go on streaming a couple times a week. You'll get shown the new ones when they show up. It's great. It's great for you. It's great for me. Also, if you could leave a comment. I know those of you live have been commenting all night. I appreciate you, but what really helps for getting this channel shown to other people is if people leave comments when it's in the replay mode. So, just tell me which one of the drawings you like the best. Tell me how you think I should have done it instead of the way I did it. What do you want me to see draw next? What do you want to see me draw next week? Any of those things. Fine things to put in there. Also, if you are enjoying what I do and you want to get the inside seat on everything, well, the place to go is to patreon.com/Stanex. There's a free level. Of course, I'd love it if you became paying patron. That would be fantastic for me. But there's a free level too, and it would be terrific for me if you want to have a chance to get in on all the other stuff that I'm doing. Know what it is. Maybe get some offers. Maybe get some things that the regular people don't get to see. Just members of the community. Sign on up. I'll be glad to see you. All right, that's it. Hit the wrong button. I am going to wrap it up here. Get ready for my weekend coming up. Still got a bunch of work to do before then, but I appreciate seeing you guys. I love hanging out with you, and I will do it again next week. So come on back now. I'll be looking for you.